Thursday Night Football game report right now. Omar Ruiz standing by at the stadium that should be rocking tomorrow night. Hey, Omar.
Should be a great atmosphere, Scott. The Rams will be going possibly without two of their star cornerbacks. We just found out that Marcus Peters was limited in practice today. A walkthrough they had. He'll be questionable for the game tomorrow. Earlier today, the Rams placing Aqib Talib on injured reserve. Sean McVay saying they don't have a timetable on his return until they actually perform the surgery and find out how extensive the damage is to his ankle. So in will step Sam Shields, the longtime Packer, who continues his incredible comeback story. He's missed most of the last 2 years with concussion issues. That comeback steps into the national spotlight tomorrow. The Rams also have Nickel Roby-Coleman, their normal starting nickel corner. He'll step into the spotlight as well, as will Troy Hill, who was thrust into a starting role late in the year last year, even started the playoff game against the Falcons, has experience against Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu in a big spotlight game. He said he goes against good receivers every game, so they'll be ready for this challenge. It might be more of a challenge if Dalvin Cook is able to play for the Vikings. He's officially listed as questionable. He too was limited in their practice today.
Well, if there's a team that could possibly overcome the kinds of injuries that we are talking about here, it is probably the Rams defense, first in the league in scoring, top 10 in all of these other categories. As for the offense that they're facing, they have the potential to be top 10 in most of these categories, but those 6 points that they put on the board last week sent all of their statistical averages plummeting, especially the ones related to their ground game. Just 14 yards rushing last week on 6 carries with Dalvin Cook sidelined. Willie McGinnis, James Jones, you just heard Omar mention him. He's talking like he will play tomorrow night.
I hope so.
That in mind, how do you think the Vikings should try to attack this Rams defense?
Well, they got to run the football, and I didn't need to hear Omar's update to know that. I mean, this team hasn't scored a rushing touchdown yet. Dalvin Cook didn't play last week, and I get that. He might play this week, but between Latavius Murray and Dalvin Cook, they need to figure it out. And the Rams have been kind of weak on the weak side. So when you talk about Wade Phillips and his system, traditionally, historically, teams have attacked the weak side of the offense. Of the defense of the defensive line. Let me get it out there. The defensive line. There's a hole right there. So if you're going to have any success, you got to be able to run the ball. You got to have some balance. I don't think Kirk Cousins wants to drop back with a struggling offensive line and continue to throw the ball. They struggled last week against this particular defensive line. So you got to find the holes. You got to find the gaps. You got to do what you see right here and run the football, get positive yards, get to third and manageable.
Is there a guy in this game, James, who has the potential to turn the tide all by himself? If he plays well, the game goes this way. If he doesn't, it turns a totally different direction?
Absolutely, and I'm going with Sam Shields, not just because he was a former Green Bay Packer, just because Sam is a baller. Like this, you lose sleep, yes you do, but you get a Pro Bowl corner to come in and fill for him. Not too many teams can say that. Sam Shields, before he had concussions, 17 PBUs. 14 the next year. So he can play, and it's not like anything happened to his legs. He's a 4-3 guy. He can fly, and he's a very good player. So to me, I'm excited to watch him because he gets his opportunity. He's a heck of a player, and now he gets his time to shine. And you said running game. They better try to run it because you don't want to come over there trying Sam Shields too many times because he can play some ball.
Last start for Sam Shields, week 1, 2016. He says he still has it. We will see tomorrow. And then on Sunday, we will see what Cleveland fans have been waiting to see for decades. Is that gentleman a franchise quarterback? Baker Mayfield getting ready for start number 1, looking for win number 2 against a team that is 0-3. It is almost more than I can handle. So Steve White, take it from here. He's in Berea.
Well, the buzz and the energy around Baker Mayfield is still very palpable in the building. Now, he didn't speak today. He's not going to speak until after the Browns play the Raiders on Sunday, but several of his teammates spoke about him today. In fact, here's wide receiver Jarvis Landry.
He can make every throw, he can make every check, he can make every read, so it's that walk it, talk it, and he definitely has that attitude and charisma, and, that is contagious. Contagious. Contagious.
Yeah, despite that contagious attitude that's rubbing off on his teammates, some other players said that Mayfield is walking with his back a little bit straighter, and he's really assumed a leadership role, speaking up in meetings without apprehension. Now, head coach Hugh Jackson said that's what starting quarterbacks do, but Mayfield has transitioned easily. As for former starter Ty Taylor, he remains in concussion protocol, but Jackson said he's trending in the right way and should be available Sunday if needed.
Browns fans so energized by the #1 overall draft pick, Baker Mayfield, on that special Thursday night first victory in forever for the Cleveland Browns. 201 yards passing, did not throw an interception, still looking for his first NFL touchdown pass as well. Very solid passer rating of 100.1. Let's bring in our Hall of Fame quarterback, Kurt Warner, right now, as Baker Mayfield and Josh Rosen, rookie first-round quarterback, getting his first NFL start this upcoming weekend. Arizona hosts Seattle. So a rookie quarterback in his first NFL start. What are your biggest keys and points of emphasis to them, Kurt?
Well, I think the biggest emphasis for both guys is know where you're throwing the football and be confident when you're throwing it. That's what we saw from Baker last Thursday night, is that he was dropping back. And I won't say he always, read things perfectly, but he knew where he wanted to go with the football, and he let the ball rip. He threw it into some tight windows. He was confident with what he was doing, and it showed up. And it showed up in energy around him. It showed up in completions and moving the football, and it showed up in the first win. As far as Josh Rosen on the other side, I didn't see quite that same confidence when he came in last week. Now, albeit a tough situation late in the game, down, being thrown in with like 4 minutes left to go in the game, it's hard to step in and really be confident there. But a lot of issues with the Cardinals team, I think more than you saw with the the Browns team when Baker was in there. But I want to see him confident, knowing what they're doing with the football, and then just letting it go.
This is totally possible, by the way, for first-round rookie QBs to have success in their first start. Over the last 5 instances of that, the rookie QB is 3-2. So we'll find out what happens this week. Kurt, hang around here just a little bit. We got your top 5 quarterbacks from week 3 coming up in just a bit on Total Access. And more quarterback news. Jameis Winston back with the Buccaneers. 3-game suspension ended after Monday Night Football. Now the question is when or if he'll be the Bucs' starting QB again. The Bucs aren't saying publicly, and Jameis played it PC today.
It's exciting, man. Like, we're having a lot of success, and I want that to continue, and I know it will. So me being back, nothing's changing. I'm just happy that I can be a part of it. I'm happy that when we have a win, I can come off and, dap guys up and celebrate with them. I think that's the part that you miss, that team bonding, because we do this together, and it's tough going out there and getting wins.
So Jameis knows who's the starter. Ryan Fitzpatrick knows who's the starter. Dirk Cutter has already named the starter to the locker room, but he says he's not telling the public. We don't take that for an answer, so we sent Mike Garafolo down there to get some investigative work in. What do we know, Mike?
Scott, everything I've been told is it's going to be Ryan Fitzpatrick, but Jameis Winston is right there. He's right behind him. And if Fitzpatrick has some kind of stretch like he had against the Steelers where he starts to throw interceptions in bunches, it's going to be a quick hook for Fitzpatrick, and we will see Winston back out there. That's because, well, frankly, he started as their franchise quarterback. They still hope to get him back to that point. And they did like how he handled his 3 weeks away from the team. He held practices on his own at a nearby park, also at the University of South Florida, with a bunch of former NFL players still looking to work their way back in. Winston organized the whole thing, set up the schedule on Monday and Tuesday. Then they practiced Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and had a mock game on Saturday. Winston even wearing pads for that mock game there. He said he would not let his teammates inside this building outwork him, even though he wasn't here with them. He showed up at 5:30 a.m. on Tuesday, ready to go. I do believe he's going to be back as a quarterback for the Buccaneers pretty soon, but Fitzpatrick first.
All right, well, look, if it's anybody but Fitzpatrick this weekend, he'd be the first quarterback in NFL history with 3 straight 400-plus yard passing games to get benched right after that. Mike, we appreciate it.
More news from around the league, starting with the team that has made a quarterback announcement. Marcus Mariota will start for the Titans on Sunday. Blaine Gabbert's still in the concussion protocol, so there wasn't really much of a choice, but Mariota did play pretty well when he went into the game last week, despite the fact that he didn't have feeling in 2 of the fingers on his throwing hand. Doug Baldwin could return this week. The Seahawks receiver back at practice for the first time since he sprained his knee in week 1. Pete Carroll says he has a chance to play this week against the Cardinals. Not returning returning this week or next week or probably the week after that. Joey Bosa for the Chargers. He has yet to play this year because of a lingering foot injury, and he told reporters today that he probably won't be back until the bye week, which is in week 8. Willie McGinnis, that's a long time. What does this mean for the Chargers?
That is a long time, and that's a blow to the Chargers defense, especially since Bosa makes up 30% of the sacks on that defense, including this year, and he hasn't even played it down. This is something that started off from week 1, okay, maybe week 2, week 3. Now we're talking week 8, and it seems like the team was probably blindsided because he made the report to the reporters, and the team seemed like they didn't really have a statement for it. So I'm wondering what's really going on, but I do know this team needs Bosa out there because he's a factor when it comes to them game planning and their sack production.
Bills got a big win last week, and it looks like they're going to get someone pretty important to their offense back this week against the Packers. LaShawn McCoy saying today that he will play in that game. He's been dealing with a rib injury that left him sidelined in last week's upset over the Vikings. We will not see Rex Burkhead or Evan Ingram this week. The running back placed on IR with a neck injury. The tight end week to week with an MCL sprain. A.J. Green limited today in Cincinnati. Hugh Jackson says that he is fine after leaving the game Sunday with a hip issue. And in Philly, Alshon Jeffrey is back at practice, a full participant after being cleared today for contact.
Dolphins defensive lineman William Hayes tore his ACL on this play in Miami's win over Oakland. Now, Coach Adam Gase says the injury happened when he was trying to keep his body weight off of Derek Carr because of the way that they're calling roughing the passer this season. Here's what Derek Carr had to say about that.
I wish the guy would have just landed on me besides tear his ACL, honestly. I've been playing a while and I've been hit my fair share, and guys land on you and things like that, and it is what it is. On that play, for him to try and protect me, which I'm thankful for, right? Thank you. But for him to tear his ACL, nobody wants that. I don't want that.
So this year, there have been twice as many roughing the passer penalties called than at this point last year. And on Monday Night Football, there were 4 called in the Steelers-Buccaneers game, and just about every locker room in the NFL is talking about it.
I mean, you're asking guys to do something that's very, very difficult to do. And there's guys out there that just literally don't know what to do. What, you just want us to two-hand touch them or what? You're highly prioritizing one player over everybody else on the field, and it's a difficult thing to do.
Have we seen some that have been flagged that should not have been? Absolutely. Listen, I think it's more about the consistency from crew to crew and the message from crew to crew to get that on the same page. And that's with any new rule, but I think that's the biggest challenge.
Now, Sean Payton, a member of the NFL's competition committee, and as NFL Media's Judy Batista is reporting, the competition committee will discuss the issue on a conference call next week. The committee is an 8-person group. It has members from ownership, front offices, and head coaches. And by the way, Ozzie Newsome, Mark Murphy, and John Elway all had long careers as players in the NFL.
What a year this guy is having. Michael Thomas leading the league in receiving yards and catches, and look at this, his passer rating on the 6 routes that he's run most since the start of last season, all triple digits. He is versatile. He is huge. He can go in the slot, and obviously he gets it done however you want him to do it. James Jones, explain to me why what we just saw there is so impressive.
Man, he has an A in route running. I am telling you. Right here, I want to show you. Oh, they moved it too fast on me, but right here, I want to show you. This is an out route. Lindsay, if your coach tells you as a defender you're inside, where do you not want to let the receiver go?
Inside.
Inside. And right here, Michael Thomas knows that he doesn't want him inside, so he threatens him inside to create so much more separation outside. And this right here is probably the hardest route for receivers to run. This is called a speed out. You need your glutes. You need to be doing squats and all that in the offseason because this is a 1-foot plan. As you can see him go, woo, that is what you need right there. The DB will always be late, and what he does best is every route looks the same. You see him down here at the bottom. He's just running straight. You don't know what he's going to do. You don't know what he's going to do. He can sit down, break out, Go in, you don't know what he's going to do. He's always, all of his routes look the same. He comes off the ball, running straight at you like this, Liz, nothing. Ah, ooh, I see you.
And what does
Michael
this tell
Thomas.
you? The fact that there are so many crossing routes here. He's tough.
Tough,
Right?
big,
He'll go
strong.
over the middle. It doesn't matter.
Catch radius is huge. Drew Brees going to give him opportunities.
And he's given him a lot this year. He has 38 catches on 40 targets. That is a catch percentage of 95, which is stupid. And by the way, those 38 catches through 3 games puts him on pace for 203 this season. I know on pace is like whatever, but you know why that's impressive? Because the single season record is 143, held by Marvin Harrison in 2002.
Keep killing him. Don't ease up.
Week 4.
And Nate, we've got a lot shaking tomorrow.
That's right. And Todd Gurley's been dominating teams on the ground and in the air. What we do every week is something called the Burrow Lesson. I'm going to take you to school, break it down, and show you what he needs to do for his Rams to get the dub.
Dolphins fans have been very big on the what about us? What about us? We'll go to it. We're going to be talking about you. Are you ready for this? The Patriots, the Dolphins. We'll preview the entire game.
We got 0-3 teams in the league that need a win like no other. Who's going to fuel their hustle? Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
We'll see you at 7 a.m. Eastern. This is Good Morning Football.
Thanks, guys. See you in the morning. Using notes from around the league. Rams putting Aqib Talib on injured reserve. They are hopeful he can return at some point later this year. Titans named Marcus Mariota the starting quarterback. Once again, been dealing with that elbow injury, numbness in his throwing hand. Chargers defensive end Joey Bosa says that he could be out until the bye week, which is week 8 for the Chargers. Patriots put Rex Burkhead on IR, and LaShawn McCoy dealing with the rib injury. He says he expects to play Sunday against the Packers. Meanwhile, Rob Gronkowski's brother, Chris, former NFL player, said in a radio interview yesterday that Gronk is, quote-unquote, super frustrated, and that he is getting double-teamed and triple-teamed, and that the Pats' other receivers can't make people pay for it. Here's what Gronk had to say about his brother's comments today.
The frustration comes from the aspect of the losses, and I would say so. Just got to get back on track of practicing, focusing on the Dolphins, doing what we got to do out on the practice field. He doesn't speak for myself, I mean, and he knows he doesn't, but he probably just got caught up a little bit, but just got to move on, buy his ice shaker, I guess, and that's all.
The Chicago Bears are 2-1, and they host the Bucs on Sunday. Mitch Trubisky, though, averaging less than 200 yards per game passing and has more picks than touchdowns. But he also has the unwavering support of his head coach, Stacey Dales, with the Bears in Lake Forest.
While the Tampa Bay Bucs aren't divulging who their starting quarterback will be in Week 4 against the Chicago Bears, the Bears know they're facing the NFL's #1 total offense, #1 passing offense, and #1 offense in terms of yards per play. Here's head coach Matt Nagy on how he and his team are preparing for the Bucs situation.
We're not sure. I mean, I think that we could end up seeing Ryan, but I don't know. And what they've done so far with him is very impressive. And then for him to have, a rough first half there with turnovers, you want to talk about next play mentality. I mean, he just came out and just kept throwing the ball up and down the field and making plays, and you got to love that about a quarterback that does that. So we'll see. I don't know that, and I know that Vic will have those guys ready for both.
As for Chicago's defense, it has loved getting after quarterbacks, 14 sacks to lead the NFL. I talked to linebacker Danny Trevathan. He told me it all starts with coordinator Vic Fangio. He said he puts us in perfect situations to make plays. He is a wizard with his calls. The Bears hoping to stay atop the NFC North on Sunday.
Bears, Bucks, looking forward to that, along with the Vikings, Rams, Eagles, Titans, both coming off of wins. One more impressive, offensively speaking, than the other. It was kind of ugly for the Titans. Ravens, Steelers also coming off of dubs. No, that one's going to be close. It always is. And then you've got the Chiefs, Broncos on Monday.
You didn't like 9-6?
I did.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I have nothing against kickers or defense.
Not a great fantasy
but I know Baker Mayfield is looking to put up more points than that this week. Is that the matchup that you've got your eye on? You said 4 touchdowns for Baker yesterday. Was that right?
That's right. They had a
How's
hot take Tuesday. Now it's hump day. You got to get over that. I think this matchup's great for a number of reasons. A couple of storylines. Obviously, Hugh Jackson going back to Oakland, where he was the offensive coordinator and head coach. And he's also facing Paul Gunther, the defense coordinator, who he spent 6 years with in Cincinnati. So a lot of little wrinkles in here. The one wrinkle I'm not worried about, Willie, is Baker. I think Baker's the touchdown maker. That's going to be his nickname after this game. Maybe it's a Baker dozen. I don't know.
I see you, Ron.
But here's what I saw from him on Thursday night. I saw great recognition of the defensive blitzes.
Balls out quick.
I saw the decisiveness. Right here, he sees this blitz coming, and the ball comes out. You mentioned the decisiveness. That's one thing that rookie quarterbacks struggle with. Sometimes they don't trust their eyes, and they hesitate. They pat the air out of the ball a little bit. We call it burping the baby, JJ, as they're waiting for guys to get open. He's throwing guys open. That's what you can see from these plays right here, these little windows right here. If you hesitate for 1 second, that's an interception. Difference between a touchdown and interception.
Let's get it in the window.
Just a couple of inches. I thought the throw to Juice up the seam route with the defenders back to him, that was a big league throw. And I think Manziel, the one thing people are not talking about is how accurate he is. All of those throws, I mean, the accuracy is there, and he's got a cannon.
It's funny you say that because when I was watching the game when Tyrod was in, I'm like, dang, there's no pieces around Tyrod. They can't run it. They can't throw it. Who's getting open? Then I thought to myself, like, man, he got pieces around. Then Baker entered the game, and I'm like, ooh, these receivers is unstoppable. And they got a running game. He just elevated the team that much more, and he was throwing these guys open. That back shoulder ball he threw to Juice down the seam, it's only a few quarterbacks that even think of throwing that. When he's dropping back, he's covered, but it's one spot I can put it, and Baker put it.
And how about this? He didn't have a single rep that week with the ones.
Scout team.
I mean, it's all mental reps.
They ran that Philly special without him actually running it in practice. I don't know how that even works. So Baker, the touchdown maker, I don't know if that is going to turn out to be true, but you know who I know is?
Who?
Patrick Mahomes. 13 touchdowns so far.
That's it? Just 13?
Just 13. No big deal. You guys, he has a 115.6 passer rating when he is under pressure. Von Miller, who he goes up against this week, has the highest pressure rate since 2016. This is a head-to-head kind of battle that is going to be very interesting. How do you see it going?
And just for everybody to know, he changed his name to Matrix Mahomes.
Matrix Mahomes.
You know why.
Why?
He's got all the defenses in the Matrix. They can't figure it out.
They can't.
And you talk about him out of the pocket, in the pocket, big throws down the field, being decisive, throwing guys open. This guy has all of it. When you watch him on tape, some of the big plays that he does, he scrambles in the pocket, he's moving the pocket, and he buys time with his feet. The one thing young quarterbacks don't do is keep their eyes down the field. So he keeps his eyes downfield. He avoids Sully. But guess what Von Miller does? Against guys like him and Russell Wilson, he doesn't let you avoid. He gets off the edge, he knows angles, keeps him on his upfield shoulder, and he gets the sack.
Here he comes.
But guess what? Patrick Mahomes says, I got something for that. I'm a scrambler. I can get out of the pocket. When you think I'm going to get sacked, nope. I'm going to reverse the field. But look at the ball.
Two hands,
Look at the ball. He's careless with the ball. He's going to be on our target tape for turnovers. You know why? Because Von Miller is one of the best. 14 strip sacks since he's been in the league. He doesn't attack the players. You know he's a hunter. He hunts the ball, not players. And when he hits you, majority of the time, that's what happens. The ball comes out. I'm looking forward to this matchup. You got a gunslinger going against a guy who loves gunslingers in pressure situations. Let's see how it pans out.
Do yourself a favor and Google Patrick Mahomes next gen.
Matrix.
Because that one play where he scrambles and draws the whole defense, it's so fun to watch when it's just a bunch of circles on a screen and see all of the movement with that one particular play.
It's probably like a bunch of chickens running around. Something that Von Miller knows
he loves to catch chickens.
They're all chasing that guy. What about the Giants? Saints. OBJ versus a Saints defense that has struggled.
I guarantee.
Listen, please, somebody trade me OBJ if he's on your fantasy team. I need him because he is about to go crazy. Listen, even if Marcus Lattimore does follow him, Odell is moving all over the field this year. He's in the slot. He's outside. It's going to be hard to stop him, and to put the young corner in that situation, have to cover all that field, especially if he goes in the slot, it's going to be tough. But I'm looking at the whole Saints defense. Somebody going to have to be over the top, and Odell has played them twice, and he has 16 catches for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. I don't know if they're stopping him. So, again, I ask you, if he's on your fantasy team, trade him to me. I'll give up 3 players for him because he's going off this week.
No.
He's going off this week.
You're new at this fantasy thing. He doesn't mean that. Whoever's in his league, don't listen to him. He's not going to do that. You just be playing No, yo, that's how you do these trades.
Just don't trade
like,
the suit.
I'll take him if you
Because
want
I
me
got
to.
to talk like this so they don't believe me. He's about to go off.
Okay. All right. Matt Ryan went off last week, right? He threw for 300.
In the modern history of the NFL, it's enough to give a Hall of Fame quarterback an ear-to-ear grin as we welcome back Kurt Warner with his top 5 quarterbacks from week number 3. Who we got, Kurt?
Well, it gives me a big grin, Scott, but it makes my job harder to pick the top 5 because everybody's throwing touchdowns. But let's get into it. Number 5, he's dropped a little bit, which I guess is to be expected because he was tearing it up the first couple weeks of the season. And that's Patrick Mahomes with only 3 touchdowns. Eli Manning, I thought, played an unbelievable game, accurate with the football, made good decisions. He's at number 4. Jared Goff is having a great start to the season, not only for his team, but personally as well. Number 3. Number 2, you got Matt Ryan, who threw 5 touchdown passes and for a bunch of yards. Probably would have been number 1 if they'd have pulled that game out.
Yeah.
But they didn't, and it was because the guy that's at number 1 threw for nearly 400 yards and nearly 40 completions and had an unbelievable game to set the all-time record for completions last week, and that's Drew Brees.
Drew Brees, number 1. He had 5 total touchdowns in that game. All right, when we got your list in advance of the beginning of the show, everyone looked at it and said, what did Ben Roethlisberger do to offend Kurt Warner? Big Ben went for 350 and 3 touchdowns, man.
Well, he did, but they didn't score a point in the second half. I mean,
that's true.
This is about a complete performance. It's not just the stat line. So, you know, he probably would have been up there after the first half. I'm thinking, man, 30 points, here he goes. But they didn't do anything in the second half, so it's hard to put him on the top 5.
All right, and you said it was difficult to do because everyone's getting in the end zone these days in chunks. I see number 3, Jared Goff right there. He's playing on Thursday Night Football. He's quarterbacking what some people think might be the best team in the NFL right now. Break him down a little bit for me, would you?
I will. My records aren't safe, that's for sure, with the way that he's playing. But he's in just such command of what they're doing. He's got weapons all around him. And here's an example right here. He knows the safeties favoring the left-hand side. He's got pressure, so he's got to deal with one guy. But watch how he manipulates this one defender. He's got a skinny post on the backside. So he's going to sit back here, hold the safety front side, then work the defender on the backside and drops this dime right in on Brandon Cooks behind him for what was a near touchdown in that particular look. Here we've got a little deep hook with an out here, and I love this, is that he reads the outside defender who pulls down on the hook, but then watch the throw. Not only does he have a guy coming in his face in this particular case, but the defender's breaking from the inside, puts the ball to the outside, perfect placement on the football. Once again, great control. And then he doesn't get enough credit for what he can do inside the pocket. His ability to manipulate the pocket was one of my favorite things about him coming out. And you see Cooper Kupp there running the underneath route. He's trying to throw this over the top to the big throw, but pressure breaks, comes in his face. He manipulates the pocket here, buys time, keeps his eyes down the field, and once again, a strike on the second level to Cooper Kupp. Gets a little help from his friends, and they find themselves in the end zone again.
And playing this week in a game that some people think could be an NFC title game preview or maybe a couple of future playoff teams head-to-head Thursday Night Football right here on NFL Network, Rams and Vikings. Ready to see the fans' top 5 list here, Kurt? Let's see. Oh, there he is.
Always.
There he is, Big Ben at number 5. And then 4, 3, 2, 1, all guys that you had in your top 5. So the only discrepancy the fans had, they put Ben in and they put Eli out. Your thoughts?
Well, again, I mean, I like the list. I'm not going to argue with Ben. You said the numbers earlier. Like I said, left him off just because there wasn't a big second half there in that game.
And it's always nice if you're a quarterback and you throw a 15-yard pass to a tight end who throws an epic stiff arm and then goes for the rest of the 75 yards that you get on the stat line. Kurt, always great to see you. Enjoy Thursday Night Football tomorrow, bud.
I think it's a safe bet that we all will, Scott. This has the makings of a potential NFC Championship preview. Rams and Vikings with some kinks to work out, for sure, but also tons of potential here. That is 8 p.m. Eastern, NFL Network, Fox, and Prime Video. And don't forget to set your fantasy lineup before that, because chances are you probably have someone going. A lot of fantasy options in this game, some that are likely to do better than others, and Michael Fabiano is here to tell us who is who. Question about this guy. He had an awful fantasy week last week. Does it get better this week?
It will. He averaged 21 fantasy points in his first 3 games. I say he has 18 points against the Rams. A decent projection here. Aqib Talib out. Marcus Peters banged up. Rams defense clearly not at 100%, so I'll give Cousins 18.
Jared Goff, the 9th best fantasy quarterback this year.
And averaging 20 points a game. I'll give him 18 fantasy points in this contest.
There's a pattern here.
Vikings defense is tough, but Goff and those weapons, boy, they have been very explosive. I mean, the Rams offense right now averaging over 30 points a game, putting up over 430 yards per game. There's not a lot of sits in this contest, Lindsay. There's a lot of offensive firepower, no question about it.
So you said a good Vikings defense, and yes, that's how we all think of them, but 3 points in each of the last 2 fantasy weeks. I wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole against this Rams offense, would you?
Nope.
Oh.
You ready? That's it. You're only getting 2 points, Vikings defense. How about this for a stat? Teams playing the Rams so far this year have averaged 1.3 defensive fantasy points per game. That's bad. Sit the Vikings defense.
What about Cooper Kupp? Does he see enough targets to do good for you?
He's been targeted quite a bit, and I'm going to give him a decent PPR line. 13 points in this contest. Now, if you look at the numbers, the Vikings have actually given up 330 yards and 2 touchdowns to slot receivers. And that's where Cooper Kupp makes his hay. So start Kupp, start Robert Woods, start Brandon Cooks, start Todd Gurley, Diggs, Thielen, Rudolph.
Everybody! Start everybody!
Just not the defenses.
Michael Fabiano, do you know who you're going against this week in fantasy?
I believe it's
Do you know who you're
Lindsay
losing to
Rhodes.
this week in fantascy?
It won't be to you. I can promise you that. Because
we'll
the
revisit
first
this
place
next
team
week, my
right
friend.
here.
We'll revisit
you know what?
this
Maybe a
next
little,
week.
maybe a little like T-shirt bet here on the air next week. I lost to Fabs.
Better word than gratitude. I wake up in the morning just being like, thank you.
Tony Romo joining us on Total Access Friday. Before that airs, for now, here's what's trending presented by Hyundai. And we start with a Thursday note. I don't know if you've heard, but the Rams are wearing their throwbacks tomorrow night. Going all best show on turf on us with these things of beauty. And our very own Dave Damashek has started a campaign to try to get Wade Phillips to embrace this throwback ethos and dress like his dad, Bum Phillips. I, for one, need to see this roaming the sideline tomorrow night. And if you agree, join us in our quest. And flood Wade Phillips' Twitter mentions @SonOfBum. It's just got to happen. Another throwback of sorts, Harvard is hosting a Fitzmagic night on Friday to celebrate their Golden Boys' success. And the first 3,000 fans receive a Fitzpatrick yeah, that's I before E except after C. Harvard. Okay, this is when I'm going to make a mistake, right? Because that's karma. It comes up immediately after this. Our boy DeMarcus Ware is going on to the next round on Dancing with the Stars. Congratulations, D. Busy time for him also working with the Broncos as a pass rush consultant, a team that happens to have someone who might be able to help him in the dancing department.
When the lights get bright, man, you just got to hold it in. Don't sweat, man. Just let it go.
Oh, I was sweating last week.
Oh, you had it, bro. You had it, bro.
I was sweating last week.
You had it.
You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. I like how this is all going, and it seems to be working for Vaughn, too. 4 sacks so far this season. That's tied for the most in the NFL.
There it is in paper form. I see some concerns on here. Do you see some concerns?
I do. I see one down with the Texans.
Lay it on me.
Deshaun Watson, here's a kid, I mean, he was exciting last year. They were winning, taking the league by storm, electric, all those great words. But this year, they're struggling. Not only are they struggling to protect him, he's been hit most in the league in the first 3 weeks. Also, they were averaging 19 points. I mean, they're averaging 19 points per game, right? They were averaging that per half last year. The production's not there. The offensive line is a mess. They can't protect him. His development, I know he's only started 9 games in his short career, and he hasn't been able to develop. He hasn't been able to run the offense. He hasn't been able to throw the ball downfield and make those plays we've seen last year because of the protection. They're 0-3 right now. If they go 0-4 and lose against the Indianapolis Colts who swept them last year, this could be a problem.
They need to help him out up front. Obviously, you mentioned that. But on first down, help him out. You know, when you get a young quarterback, all of a sudden it's second and long, third and long. He feels like he's got to be Superman, make a huge play.
And he's been Superman. He's been Superman.
Yeah.
Where do you see it? What's the hot spot?
Well, listen, it's not often that the Dallas Cowboys have a 1 o'clock game at home. They're usually in prime time. It's every week they're playing, game of the week right on Fox. Right. They got a 1 o'clock game. against the Detroit Lions, who are riding high
The
off their
sneaky
first
Detroit
win.
Lions. Come on
And
in.
I just got to be honest with you. I'm worried for this offense. I'm down in Dallas. If they go into halftime down, if they have another slow start, man, the Catbirds are going to be out. The Boo Birds are coming out, and all of a sudden the witch hunt is going to be on down in Dallas. This offense is struggling, and I can't figure it out. I know Travis Frederick's not there. Joe Looney's played a lot of football, but they're doing dumb stuff. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of dumb football on film. Tyron Smith, a guy who knows what he's doing, I'm seeing him make mistakes. He's got holding penalties. The offensive line can't pass protect all of a sudden. This is not the Dallas Cowboys offense that I thought I would see. They're still running the football well. Zeke's averaging over 5 yards a carry.
I was going to say, have they lost their identity?
Yeah, they need to give the ball to Zeke. If he's averaging 5 yards a carry and he doesn't have 200 yards rushing, whose fault is that?
There you go.
And Dak is struggling on third down, and you can't blame it on the run game, but they're just one-dimensional.
You look at the rosters, the playmakers of those two teams. Detroit has 3 wide receivers that could potentially be the number 1 wide receiver if they played for the Dallas Cowboys.
Somebody step up.
Sometimes step up. Concerns. We didn't mention the Patriots either. Rams versus last year's NFC runner-up. Who wins it?
You don't just fly in the la-la and everything is fixed. The Rams is going to dominate. Yeah, you just don't fly the la-la to fix everything. That offensive line is struggling, and the Rams are going to take advantage of it.
I mean, you used to fly to La-La to fix things, but not anymore.
I think the Rams in this one, I think their offense is too high-powered for the Vikings. I think Wade Phillips, I think he could take a nap at halftime. It may not be his bedtime, but he can take a nap.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Is that your answer?
Head shaker. Head shaker.
Low. Minnesota Vikings, man. They're going to get this done. And I'm going to say this one's going to be, Liz.
What?
You don't like defensive football games. It's going to be 9-6 Vikings.
What?
It's going to be 9-6 Vikings. On defense, they're going to shut that big-time offense in La-La Land down.
I hope you're so wrong. By the way, we should point out that we'll be able to hear Andrea Kramer and Hannah Storm call this game, the first all-female booth to call a men's
Let's do it.
sporting event. That's on Amazon Prime Video, one of 3 streaming options for you.
Can't wait to see it, and then we will see you afterwards for all the post-game coverage on NFL Total Access post-game show. Thanks for watching this edition. Hey, did you see that amazing performance by the 3-0 Kansas City Chiefs? The replay against the Niners right now.